My name's Wacker Aka Dustin Nowak, and I am a freestyle motocross rider. I wanted a bike for all-around riding, for going on trail rides, going to the hills, just whatever. And I was leaning Alta, and I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be as good as it was. The first time I got on the bike, I was super excited to try something new. I've been looking at the bikes forever and really been trying to follow the progress, and I've wanted to be on one since day one. It was always kind of something I wanted to ride. Just, it was different and it was cool, and I like always doing things a little bit different. So I had Josh Hill telling me the bike was good, Darren had ridden it. It was awesome, it blew me away. It's so much more controllable for me to flip. I can rev the bike in the air and it rotates super, super quick, whereas a regular gas bike, it helps the rotation, but it doesn't really control it. You can speed it up and slow it down quite a bit with the gas and the brake, but on this bike it's times 10. If I have a slow rotation and gas it, the thing just zips around super quick, and when I actually tap the brake, it completely stops the rotation. Whereas before, if you're over rotating and you hit the brake, it slows it down, but it still keeps rotating. Whereas this bike, it almost comes to a dead stop when you do hit the brake. For me, I really like having that amount of control in the air. I mean, I've done flips where I went slow, sped it up to where it was crazy fast, and then completely stopped it with it 20 feet to go in the flip. And it was if I was on my 250, I'm jumping off, I'm probably losing this thing at 3 different points. So that was a cool aspect of it for sure. I've gotten really used to it, and I'm noticing things that I would like to improve, and things where it has its pros and cons, and there aren't that many cons to it. The bike is so good. It's basically just personalizing it for myself and do a little bit of development, just better the bike, and the base is so far beyond what you could expect it to be. And for what I do, you don't really need to do much. Stiffen up the suspension and put whatever handlebars are comfortable, and the bike's ready to go. So now I'm just really trying to get the power delivery fine-tuned to my liking. It does weigh a little bit more than a regular bike, and I don't notice it ever riding it. I notice it putting it on the stand, that's about it. But when you're riding it, the way that the weight's centralized and as low as it is, all the weight's in the battery and it's where it's positioned, it doesn't really have any negative effects for handling. It actually handles better than almost any bike I've ever ridden. I have freestyle suspension on this, which is even stiffer than regular supercross setup, and I can ride choppy, whooped out tracks on this bike with my setup, no problem. Whereas on a regular motocross bike, I don't even do it. It sticks to the ground really well, it stays straight, doesn't kick or buck. So that, for the track, I think that's another thing that a lot of people probably don't see or notice until they ride it a lot. You're making up time when the thing's not chattering and bouncing, and it hooks up really well. I haven't had any issues with battery life so far, and I mean, I've been on the thing for three plus months, riding it almost every day. At first, I would take my generator with me. I'd have the charger in my van, and anytime I'd have kind of extra minutes, I'd plug it in just because. And it's gotten to the point now, I usually don't even take the charger with me, because physically, depending on how I'm riding it, the battery outlasts me for a day. If I'm riding freestyle, I can go ride all day, as many sessions as I'm comfortable doing, and I don't even use even close to half. So it's good for that. Trail riding, same thing. I rode all day yesterday, and I mean, we're not just steady on the bikes the whole time, but I mean, we were out there for a few hours. Like I said, at the end of the day, we were toast, and I still had a quarter battery left. My favorite part about the Alta is I get done riding, I leave it in the van. The charger's in my van. I have an extension plug outside that I back up to the house. I plug it in. The thing's ready to go the next day. I show up, I check the spokes, I check the tire pressure, make sure loop the chain, and it's ready to go. You're not worrying about being in the right RPM, the right gear to go around a corner. You're just going around the corner as fast as you can. All that's second nature, but when you get that out of your subconscious thoughts when you're riding, it opens up so much more. That's the cool thing about the Alta is you're not thinking about everything else. It's just perfect timing, braking points. Pretty cool to really work the technique aspect into it. You can work on your form and not have other stuff to think about. To be honest, it's gonna be tough for me to ever buy a gas bike again. I have my cherished ones that I keep that I'll never get rid of, and I'll ride them till they go in my living room, basically. I've already done everything to my level that I could do on either bike. It's matched everything, and now it's actually got to the point where I'm ready to try to see how much more I can push it. So it's actually elevated my riding a lot, so I'm pumped on that.